The cafe was quiet except for the sound of soft jazz playing in the background. The tension at the table, however, was anything but soft. Lucy sat with her arms crossed, her face unreadable, watching Gabriel closely. Danielle, on the other hand, was struggling with her emotions, torn between anger, curiosity, and a strange sense of longing. Gabriel's eyes remained fixed on his daughter. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, Danielle, but I want to try, if you'll let me." Danielle inhaled shakily. "You say you regret everything, but why now? Why didn't you come looking for us years ago?" Gabriel swallowed hard. "I was ashamed. After what I did to your mother, after walking away from my own blood, I didn't think I had the right to come back. And then I got married." Danielle tensed. "I know about your wife," Gabriel sighed. "Then you know she had multiple miscarriages, and that now I can't have children at all." Lucy scoffed. "So after ruining my life, karma finally caught up with you, and now you want to make things right? Isn't that convenient?" Gabriel flinched but nodded. "You're right to be angry, Lucy. I deserve it, but I'm not here just because I can't have more children. I'm here because I want to fix my mistakes." Lucy's eyes flashed. "Fix your mistakes? Do you think you can just undo 21 years of pain? Do you think one apology will erase what you did to me?" Gabriel lowered his head. "No, but I have to try." Danielle exhaled sharply. "I don't know what I expected from this meeting, but this is a lot." Gabriel reached for her hand, but she pulled back. "I understand," he said softly. "I just hope with time you'll be willing to give me a chance." Lucy stood abruptly. "Time? You had decades, Gabriel. You made your choice." She turned to Danielle. "We're leaving." Danielle hesitated, glancing between her mother and her father. Gabriel's voice was desperate. "Please, Danielle." Danielle stood, her face unreadable. I need to think." Without another word, she walked out of the cafe with Lucy. Gabriel watched them go, feeling the weight of his past crushing him. The car ride home was tense. Lucy drove in silence, her grip tight on the wheel. Danielle stared out the window, lost in thought. Finally, she spoke. "Mom, what if he's really changed?" Lucy scoffed. "People like him don't change, Danielle. He only came back because he has no other option." Danielle frowned. "But what if he truly wants to be a father now?" Lucy sighed, pulling the car to a stop in front of their house. "Danielle, I'm begging you, don't let this man back into your life just to hurt you again." Danielle bit her lip but said nothing. Lucy knew the conversation wasn't over. Back in his small apartment, Gabriel sat in the dark, staring at his phone. He had expected Lucy's reaction. He had even expected David's hatred. But Danielle, she was his only hope, his only chance at redemption. He picked up his phone and typed a message. "Gabrielle, thank you for meeting me today. I know this isn't easy for you, but I just want a chance to be in your life, even if it's just a small one." He hesitated before pressing send. Minutes later, his phone buzzed. "I need time to think." Gabriel smiled sadly. At least she hadn't said no. The tension in the house was suffocating. David had barely spoken to Danielle since their argument. Lucy, exhausted from the entire situation, kept to herself, while Danielle remained caught in the storm of her own emotions. Late at night, she sat in her room, staring at her phone. Gabriel's message lingered in her mind. "I just want a chance to be in your life, even if it's just a small one." She sighed, rubbing her temples. A knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. "Come in," she said. The door creaked open, and Daniel stepped inside. Unlike David, he had remained quiet about the whole situation. Now he sat beside her on the bed. "You're thinking about him, aren't you?" Danielle nodded. "I don't know what to do, Daniel." He exhaled. "I get why Mom and David are angry. Gabriel did horrible things, and he doesn't deserve an easy way back in. But I also get why you're curious." Danielle turned to him. "So, what do you think I should do?" Daniel leaned forward, clasping his hands. "I think you should follow your heart, but whatever you decide, just be careful. Don't let him hurt you the way he hurt Mom." Danielle smiled weakly. "Thanks, Daniel." He squeezed her shoulder. "No matter what, we have each other." Lucy tossed and turned in bed, haunted by old memories. In her dream, she was 18 again, standing in the pouring rain, pleading with Gabriel. "Please, Gabriel, don't do this to me. I have nowhere else to go." But his face was cold. "Go find the father of your child, Lucy, because it's not me." Thunder roared, and suddenly she was on the streets, alone, starving, clutching her swollen belly as people passed her by without a second glance. Then the dream shifted. She was in the hospital, exhausted as the cries of her newborns filled the air. Abigail's family surrounded her, smiling, supporting her. And then, Gabriel appeared at the door. "They're mine," he whispered, stepping forward. Lucy jolted awake, gasping for breath. Sweat dripped down her forehead as she sat up, pressing a hand to her chest. She reached for the glass of water on her nightstand and took a shaky sip. Gabriel's return was stirring up too much, too many memories, too much pain. She couldn't let him destroy what she had built. She wouldn't. The next morning, Danielle made a decision. She picked up her phone and sent a message. "Danielle, let's meet again, but just the two of us this time." Gabriel's reply was almost immediate. "Thank you. Just tell me when and where." As Danielle set her phone down, she felt a presence behind her. Turning, she saw David standing at the doorway, arms crossed, eyes filled with disappointment. "You're really going through with this?" he asked coldly. Danielle sighed. "David, I just want to talk to him." "Why? What could he possibly say that would change anything?" Danielle hesitated. "I don't know, but I need to find out." David shook his head, anger flashing in his eyes. "Fine, do whatever you want, but don't expect me to forgive him just because you do." He stormed out before she could respond. Danielle sighed, feeling the weight of her decision pressing down on her. She just hoped she wasn't making a mistake. Danielle sat in the quiet cafe, her fingers tapping against the table. The air smelled of fresh coffee and warm pastries, but her appetite was non-existent. She had arrived early, giving herself time to prepare for what was to come. A few minutes later, the door opened and Gabriel walked in. He looked nervous, his hands clenching and unclenching as he spotted her and approached. "Danielle," he said softly, taking the seat across from her. She nodded stiffly. "Thanks for coming." He gave a small, almost hesitant smile. "Thank you for giving me a chance." Danielle studied him carefully. Up close, she could see the wrinkles lining his face, the weariness in his eyes. He was no longer the man from the stories her mother had told her. He was older, broken in a way she couldn't fully describe. "I don't know why I'm here," she admitted. "I should hate you. I do hate you. But I also don't want to spend my life wondering about you." Gabriel exhaled, nodding. "That's fair. I don't deserve anything from you, Danielle, but if you give me a chance, I promise to do better." Danielle crossed her arms. "Why now? You had over 20 years to look for us." Gabriel swallowed. "I was a coward. I thought I could erase what I did by pretending it never happened. But when I saw you on TV talking about your mother's struggles, something inside me broke. I realized what I had lost." Danielle scoffed. "You didn't lose us. You threw us away." Gabriel's face fell. "You're right." He hesitated before speaking again. "I just want to know you, even if it's just a little, even if you only allow me to hear about your life from a distance." Danielle sighed, torn between anger and the ache of curiosity. "I don't know if I can forgive you," she admitted. Gabriel nodded. "I understand, but I'm willing to wait." That evening, Danielle sat in the living room, deep in thought. She had barely touched her dinner, and Lucy noticed. "You met with him again, didn't you?" Lucy's voice was calm, but there was a sharpness underneath. Danielle looked up. "Yes, I needed to." Lucy placed her fork down carefully. "And?" Danielle hesitated. "He says he wants to know me. He seems regretful." Lucy's eyes darkened. "Of course, he regrets it now. But where was that regret when I was alone on the streets? Where was it when I was giving birth, screaming in pain with no one but Abigail's family to help me?" Danielle swallowed hard. "Mom, I know he hurt you, but I'm not you. I have a right to make my own choice about him." Lucy's voice trembled. "And what if he lets you down, Danielle? What if he does to you what he did to me?" Danielle's voice was quiet. "Then I'll deal with it." Lucy sighed, rubbing her temples. "I just don't want you to get hurt." Danielle reached across the table and squeezed her mother's hand. "I won't let him hurt me, Mom. I promise." Lucy nodded, but the worry in her eyes didn't fade. The moment David found out, he exploded. "You're seriously letting that man back into your life?" he shouted, pacing furiously across the living room. Danielle sighed. "David, it's my decision." "It's a stupid decision," he snapped. "Do you even hear yourself? After everything Mom went through, after everything we went through, you think he deserves a place in your life?" Danielle crossed her arms. "I didn't say I was forgiving him. I'm just trying to understand." David shook his head, his jaw clenched. I don't care what you do, but don't expect me to ever be in the same room as him. Danielle opened her mouth to respond, but he was already walking away. She exhaled shakily. This wasn't going to be easy. That night, Gabriel sat in his dimly lit apartment, staring at an old photo. It was a picture of him and Lucy when they were younger. She had been smiling so brightly back then. Now, she looked at him like he was a stranger. His phone buzzed, pulling him from his thoughts. It was his wife, Chiamaka. Gabriel sighed before answering. Hello? Her voice was cold. So you finally found them? He hesitated. Yes, and? Gabriel ran a hand over his face. Danielle is the only one willing to talk to me. Lucy hates me. David wants nothing to do with me. Chiamaka's voice was sharp. And you thought they would welcome you with open arms? Gabriel closed his eyes. I don't know what I thought. There was silence before Chiamaka spoke again. So, what happens now? Gabriel's grip on the phone tightened. I don't know, but I'm not giving up. Lucy sat on the balcony, staring at the city lights, her mind lost in thought. She had worked too hard to rebuild her life, to give her children the best, and now, just when she thought she was free from her past, Gabriel had returned like a shadow refusing to fade. A knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. Mom? It was Daniel. She turned and gave him a tired smile. Come in, my love. He sat beside her. Are you okay? Lucy exhaled. I don't know, Daniel. I thought I had moved on, but seeing Gabriel again, it's like reliving all the pain. Daniel nodded. I know Danielle is trying to understand him, but I don't want her to get hurt. Lucy placed a hand on his. None of us do. But she's stubborn, just like me. She has to learn for herself. Daniel hesitated before speaking. And what about you, Mom? Will you ever be able to forgive him? Lucy's jaw clenched. Forgiveness and trust are two different things, Daniel. I can forgive him for my own peace, but that doesn't mean he gets a place in my life. Daniel nodded, though deep down, he wasn't sure if she believed her own words. The next morning, Danielle sent Gabriel a message. Danielle, let's meet again. I have questions. They met at a quiet restaurant, away from the public eye. Gabriel looked nervous, but Danielle was calm, her expression unreadable. I need to know the truth, she said. Gabriel's fingers tightened around his glass. What truth? Danielle leaned forward. Why did you do it? Why did you abandon my mother? What kind of man leaves a woman pregnant and homeless? Gabriel sighed heavily. I was a fool, Danielle. I was selfish, immature, and afraid of responsibility. When your mother told me she was pregnant, I panicked. I convinced myself it wasn't mine because I didn't want it to be mine. Danielle clenched her fists. So you destroyed her life just to make yours easier? Gabriel winced. I thought I was protecting myself, but in the end I ruined everything. I've spent years paying for that mistake. My wife and I, we've tried everything to have a child, and now the doctor says I can't. Danielle scoffed. So now you want to come back? Because karma finally found you? Gabriel's eyes filled with regret. I don't expect you to understand. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to be a part of your life, even if it's just a small part. Danielle was silent for a long moment before she spoke. I'm not ready to forgive you, but I'll keep talking to you. Gabriel let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. That's more than I deserve. Later that night, David found out about Danielle's meeting with Gabriel. You went behind our backs? He roared. Danielle stood her ground. I don't need your permission, David. David slammed his hand against the table. He abandoned us. He left Mom to suffer, and you're treating him like he's some lost soul who deserves pity. I just want answers, Danielle shouted back. I want to understand. What is there to understand? He's a coward, a liar, and now that he has nothing, he suddenly remembers he has children? Lucy walked in and placed a firm hand on David's shoulder. Enough. David turned to her. Mom, tell her she's making a mistake, Lucy sighed. Danielle has the right to make her own choices, but so do we, and I will never let that man step into my house. Danielle's heart ached, but she nodded. I understand. David stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Lucy turned to Danielle. Just be careful, my love. You don't know what this could cost you. Danielle nodded, but deep down she knew she had already crossed a dangerous line. Lucy stood in the kitchen, stirring her tea absent-mindedly. The argument from last night replayed in her mind, leaving a bitter taste in her mouth. Danielle had made her choice, but Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was coming. The sound of heels clicking on the marble floor made her turn. Abigail walked in, her expression serious. "We need to talk," she said. Lucy sighed. "I already know what you're going to say, Abby." Abigail crossed her arms. "Then you know I'm going to tell you to prepare yourself. Danielle is stubborn. The more you fight her on this, the more she'll run straight into Gabriel's arms." Lucy clenched her jaw. "I'm not fighting her. I just don't want that man anywhere near my children." Abigail softened. "I get it. But you also know that the more you push, the more she'll want to prove you wrong." Lucy rubbed her temples. I don't want her to get hurt." Abigail sighed. "Then you need to find a way to protect her without shutting her out." Lucy nodded, but deep down, she wasn't sure how to do that. Meanwhile, Gabriel sat in his office, staring at his phone. His conversation with Danielle had given him hope, but he knew that wasn't enough. He needed more. A knock on his door made him look up. His wife, Chiamaka, stepped in, her arms folded. "So how's your little reunion going?" she asked coldly. Gabriel exhaled. "Danielle is willing to talk to me." Chiamaka scoffed. "And what about the others?" Gabriel's jaw tightened. "They hate me." "Good," Chiamaka said, sitting across from him, "because that's what you deserve." Gabriel ran a hand through his hair. "Chiamaka, I know I messed up, but I'm trying to fix it." She laughed bitterly. "Fix it? Or are you just trying to take advantage of their success now that you have nothing left?" Gabriel's eyes darkened. "That's not what this is." Chiamaka leaned forward. "I don't believe you." Gabriel stiffened. "What are you trying to say?" Chiamaka smirked. "I know you, Gabriel. You think I don't see the way you look at their success? Their wealth? You lost everything, and now you want to worm your way into their lives, hoping they'll accept you and maybe, just maybe, you can benefit from them." Gabriel's hands curled into fists. "That's not true." Chiamaka stood up. "If you truly care about them, prove it. Walk away." Gabriel said nothing, because deep down, he knew he wasn't ready to let go. Days passed, and the tension in the house thickened. One evening, Danielle stood in the living room, facing Lucy and David. "I want you both to know that I'm still talking to Gabriel," she said firmly. David scoffed. "You're unbelievable." Lucy remained silent, her gaze unreadable. Danielle swallowed hard. "I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just asking you to respect my decision." David shook his head. "You're making a mistake." Danielle's voice wavered slightly. "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make." Lucy exhaled, standing up. "Fine," she said quietly, "but don't expect us to be there when this blows up in your face." Danielle's heart clenched, but she nodded. "Understood." She turned and walked away, but as she left, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had just lost something precious.